The date is Wednesday, April 18th. The time is 3:59 Eastern Standard Time, and it is 2012. Today, what I want to talk about is the elite's plan for the United States and the world abroad. Now, you may call me a conspiracy theorist, but that's not what I intend to do. I intend to lay out some of the things that I've been seeing, and I want everybody to come to a conclusion on their own. I want everybody to do their own research because we have enough people in this world who are listening to what somebody else says and not doing enough on their own. So let me start by saying that the elite are highly coordinated, and they might not be sitting in smoke filled rooms, but they definitely all share the same interests and they all want the same out of this world. They all want power and they all want to be able to dominate people who are less powerful. And it's not even a thing of the elites, it's more of something that human nature is a part of and something that is a part of human nature. So let me start by saying I was watching this movie In Time, and it's where I'm not going to give away what's going on in it, so don't worry. I'm not going to spoil it. But it's a movie where time is currency as opposed to money. And there's this scene in the movie where the protagonist, who is from the ghetto, comes in contact with somebody with a lot of time, basically somebody who's wealthy, comes from a wealthy part of town. And the wealthy person was telling the protagonist that there's enough time to go around for everybody. So why is it that some people have less time and are living by the seconds who barely have enough time? Why is it that some people are like that while others have so much time they don't even know what to do with? And that gets me to think that, yeah, there is so much back to the real world. There are a lot of resources in this world. Nothing is necessarily scarce, but at the same time, nothing is necessarily infinite. And for instance, there should be nobody in America without food, struggling to find shelter, struggling to find a loving family to be in. Especially when we have these shows like Hoarders that portrays greed and gluttony to the fullest. People who are morbidly obese, people who have just nothing but stuff, stuff, stuff. And yeah, but at the same time, you got people down the street or across state lines or even in your own community who don't have any food, don't have enough um, clothing, don't have shelter. And I ask myself, why is this? And in the movie In Time, the protagonist was wondering the same thing. And the wealthy guy told the protagonist, well, don't you find it interesting how the prices keep going up and the taxes keep going up? Um, and it's almost like there's an ulterior um, motive behind that. And it's almost like the same like now when I'm looking at this current economy, I'm looking at the high taxes and we're in recession and there are high taxes, there are the price of oil is going up, which means that the price of food is going up, the price of living, the standard of living has gone up, all while our pay has stayed the same. And we got inflation and interest. Interest has just stayed the same, but inflation is going up. But yet the the amount of money that we're taking in and how far it can go has been going down. That's basically what inflation is. With the power of the dollar can no longer go as far as it used to. So we're getting all these hidden taxes, and it's like, but why? And I think that the motive behind that is so that these banks, so that these corporations and this government can come in and say, well, the private industry you, for instance, like what happened with the car companies. The car companies failed, and what happened? The government came and not necessarily took them over, but had a larger role in those companies. What's happening now is that a lot of these local communities and municipalities are getting close to default, and because they're getting close to defaulting, they have to turn to corporations and the government and these people with a lot of capital, and they have to turn to them and basically give up their sovereignty in order to be secure. So these communities are basically giving up the American dream, which is like basically being having freedom, individual freedoms and liberties, and being able to do what you want to do. Because if somebody gives you money, there's always something that comes along with that. There's always a catch. There's no free money. So if a government or a corporation gives you money to bail you out of a a situation, you have to do something for them, and you have to do so. For instance, these municipalities and these small towns and cities, if they get money from the government, from the federal government, or if they get money from these corporations, they have to sign a deal with them. They basically have to sign a deal with the devil, and that's what we're seeing. And I think that because I've been paying attention to the this great recession, close to a depression, and what's happening at the local level and at the federal level and with these corporations in Wall Street, even at the world level, what's going on is that look at what happened with Argentina. Look at what happened with Greece. What's happening now with Greece and a lot of other countries in the eurozone. Even with Haiti. The book I forgot. It's like the the diary of an economic hitman. You come in and you promote financial terrorism, and then you come in and you by committing financial terrorism and by making sure that people are poor and on their knees, then you come in as a hero and you say, here's some money, but at the same time, you owe me, and now you're a slave, and now you're indebted to me for the rest of your life. And I feel that by paying attention to all the stuff that's been going on in the last 5, 6 years, that this is the ulterior motive is for these corporations and these banks and the government to come in and take over. And so when everything collapses like it did, the value of land, the value of homes and everything goes down, and then the companies come and they buy it all up. So now they own it. So the economy goes up and then it crashes, and then what do? They come and they buy everything up. And that's what we're seeing. That's the ulterior motive. And because we're so caught up fighting between Republicans and Democrats, and both sides have good ideas, but we're caught fighting between that, we don't see what's really going on. And we need to take what the Republicans say and the Democrats say. So the Republicans believe in individual freedom, individual rights, and individual responsibility and fiscal responsibility. The Democrats believe in a community relationship. They believe in each one teach one. They believe in community service. They believe in equal opportunity, not necessarily equal uh, productivity, which is basically communism, equal output, but they believe in an equal start at the finish line. Nobody should start 40 feet above at the starting line. Nobody should start 40 feet ahead of the starting line, while some people have to start at the starting line. So you take all of that and you come together. You take the best of both worlds, in which you see, in which you could have, but what we don't have. What we don't have, but what we could have is a community, is a country where there's individual responsibility, and at the same time there's a community responsibility, and so we're all doing this together. But there's a fine line between individual responsibility and greed and individualism, and there's a fine line between community organizing and building and communism. And now what we're seeing is the worst of everything, and we're seeing fascism. So that's kind of where I want to leave that. I'm not going to talk too much about that Reuters article. I think it's a very interesting perspective, a little bit different than the perspective I'm used to, but I think it makes a lot of sense how at the local levels you have unions and you have pension funds that are bankrupting us locally, but you also have Wall Street who's bankrupting us at a national level, even at a world economic level, and you have Wall Street working with major governments to do so. So it's a little bit of both worlds that are bankrupting everything and allowing for our overlords, for lack of a better term, to come in and buy everything up and to basically buy our sovereignty. Um, it's kind of where I want to leave that. Um, it's all about control of people and ideas. Look at what Facebook did with Instagram. Instagram is something that's kind of a silly concept. All it is a whole bunch of filters, different filters. But because they're different filters, that makes it kind of silly. Anybody can make that. So why would Facebook pay $1 billion for that? Facebook would pay $1 billion for that company because it's not about what the company does on the outside. It's about the people behind there. It's about controlling those people. And Instagram has a huge following, and people take pictures of their home, what they have, their faces, their jewelry, and you get to know everything about a person by looking at Instagram. They're taking photos. That's why Facebook bought Instagram, is because it's not about the technology, it's about what that technology does. And it glimpses into people's lives, and that is powerful information. So we need to watch where we're going in the future and understand it's about the population, it's about people's lives, and it's about how you can control that. I want to leave it there. This is getting too long. I want people to leave comments. I would really love to have another conversation about this and maybe another recording on this. And thank you guys for listening, and Godspeed.